to go over how to start with setting up Survey123 using ESRI. So the first thing, you have to have a paid maintained license, and there's a couple different licenses you have to have. So get with me offline afterwards if you don't have that already. And then you should have done this probably when you saw my my calendar invite. But you do have to have, this is very confusing, but you do have to have all three of these things. You have to have an ArcGIS online account, okay? And I recommend that you sign into it. And just so you can see, this is what it looks like for here at the Colorado Department of Ag. So as long as you're signed in, and then you can click over in content. So you might want to go through that now. If you have the ability to watch me and click at the same time. Otherwise, you can just watch and refer to my video later. I'll share it with you guys online. So anyway, I'm logged into ArcGIS Online, and I'm just clicking on my account under Content, because I'm going to refer to that area later. Then you also need... Whoa, can you guys mute? We're getting weird feedback. Okay, yeah, just make sure you mute your phone or mute your screen, and you do that by using your mouse and hovering down and clicking on the microphone. Okay, so anyway, you need Survey123 for ArcGIS. And this is a website. And if you are signed into ArcGIS Online, then this Survey123 for ArcGIS should open already, and this is what it should look like. And it should default to your ESRI account already. And then the third thing that you need is something that you'll have to download onto your machines, and that's Survey123 Connect. And I'll go over what each one of these does. But for now, let me show you what Survey123 Connect looks like. Let me minimize this so you don't get confused here. This is what it looks like right here. Okay, so, sorry, let me get rid of that. Okay, so ArcGIS Online basically is how, it's kind of like the holder or the cloud for where all your data goes. It's what stores your surveys, and on and on. It's where you also make maps, and you connect to other people. And it's also where you create groups. And creating groups is a kind of an important feature that you'll want to be sure to do. Survey123 for ArcGIS is really, it provides two things. One, it allows you to drag and drop. Let me just click on that so you know, this is it right here. It allows you to create new surveys, and you do that right here. And then you can just drag and drop, or you can use Survey123 Connect. The drag and drop is very easy, but there's an extra step at the end that if you don't do, you could really kind of mess up your data. So I think it's better, even though it's a little bit more technically challenging, to use Survey123 Connect. So that's what I'm going to show you today. And then also in this Survey123 for ArcGIS, this is also where you set permissions for who can submit data and who can view the data. And we'll go over all these steps really quickly with one demo. And then the next thing is you need Survey123 Connect, as I also already mentioned. That's what you download. And this is where you actually really build the survey. And I'll go through those steps really quick with you. And then also, of course, you're going to want to have on your device, like a cell phone or a tablet, the actual survey app, the Survey123 app on your device so you can access it and also so you can test it. So you can fill out data in the field or you can test it before you push it to someone else. So the first thing you really want to do is start using Survey123 Connect and either use a template that ESRI provides or one that we have. And I'll just show you one that I've already created. If you want to use one from ESRI, you just click on New Surveys. And then I recommend, I think it's going to the community. Let's see, is it the community or the samples? Yeah, the samples is really the better one. It provides you a lot of different forms you can use, especially if you want to do something really special. Like calculate a location or on and on. They got a million different examples. And if you follow their template, it'll really help you figure out, okay, how do I do this thing, this fancy thing in here? So we're not going to use their form, but that's how you would do that. So I'm just going to use a form I've already created. This is a kind of a test one. And so you just click on it. And so when I send you the noxious weed surveys, this is what you're going to want to do. You'll save it somewhere on your C drive, and then you'll connect to it this way. So you just hit yes, and up pops the form. Okay, and so this is what the actual mobile app looks like on your device. But to edit it or to modify it or to create a brand new form using this template, you just click this XLS at the top and it opens Excel. And then the things that you're going to want to note are column A, column B, and column C. That's the very basics that you need to do. And then also, that's on the survey tab. And then you also want to pay attention to the choices tab over here. And again, you're going to want to pay attention to column A, column B, and column C. Now I'll go over what those are. So on the survey tab, column A is what we call the data type. So this basically tells the database what kind of data are you trying to collect. And ESRI has this form already set up, so you just click, I don't know if you saw that, you just click on the cell and then click on the drop down arrow, and these are all the choices that we have. So if you want to collect a picture, you would select the image. If you want to collect a date and a time stamp, you would click on date and time. If you want to draw like a shape, then you would click on GeoShape. So for instance, if you wanted to digitize or draw in the field a polygon around an infestation or around a hemp field or something of that nature, that's how you would do it. Okay, and on and on. So this is column A is your data type. Column B is the name of the field in the database, or in other words, it's the name of the column in the database. So if you can imagine the database is like sorry. Sorry, bad timing. I'm back. That's my dog. Anyway, so if you can imagine, a database is like a table, and the column header, for instance, like in this situation, the column header is name. That's what this is. Now, the thing about databases is you cannot have spaces between the words. And if you're trying to use this information, this data in ArcGIS, you really kind of want to limit the length of all of the characters to 10 or less. So sometimes you might have to abbreviate like this, or squish them, or I'm sorry, that's not abbreviating, but put all the words together or abbreviate like psi, name, that sort of thing. So it's not really readable. Over here in column C, that is the human readable. So you can make this however long you want to say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You can have spaces between the words and so forth. So those are super important key characteristics of data. So again, data type, the column header or the field name, and then what the person sees on the app when they're filling the form out on the phone or on the tablet. So this is what the human sees, the human readable. Now, you'll notice right here, this is select from multiple. You can also do select one. And so if I wanted to create a drop-down option where, hey, I want you to tell me that it's this plant, tree of heaven or Russian olive, then you would, and not both, but just one or the other, then you would have them fill out a select one option. And then under list name, you would put, like, for instance, tree. And it's okay to have a space after one. And then, of course, you need to fill this out. So tree species. And then over here would be what kind of tree is it? And notice you can put punctuation in there. Okay, so now I'm giving them an option to pick one or the other. So now I have to go to my choices tab, and I have to remember that I called this question tree. And so I go over here to the choices tab and I put tree down, and I want to give them 3 choices. So choice 1 is Elon or Russian olive. And oh dear, I don't know, tree of heaven. Tree of heaven, I don't know what the shortcut is. Tree of heaven. And let's see, tamarisk. It's not really a tree. Tamarisk, spa, could be any of those 3 choices there. So now I've given my the person that's filling out my form 3 choices to answer this question right here, tree. And the same thing you would do if you wanted to give them give them the ability to select 2 or more from the choices. Then you would just do select multiple, and you would do the same thing. So that's kind of like it in a nutshell as far as what you absolutely have to have in your form. Over here to the right, let me see if I can blow this up a little bit, make it a little bit bigger so you can see what's going on. Over here to the right, all these other columns are options that ESRI gives you. For instance, you can provide a hint so that when someone goes to fill out this question, you can give them a hint. Pick trees that are only in Colorado, if you want to limit their ability, you would put a constraint in. For instance, if you wanted to do like percent cover, you could say percent cover has to be between 0 and 100. And right here, that's the example they give, and that's how you would type it in. So it would be point greater than 0 and point less than 100. That's exactly how you would do it. And that doesn't make sense for my question, so I'm going to delete it. On and on over here, you can provide a message that pops up to kind of give them a hint about the constraint that you're requiring. Required is basically, do you want the question to be required or not? And then you can give them a message to remind them, hey, you have to fill out this question before you move on. Don't forget. Appearance is kind of a neat tool. This allows you to customize how the question looks to the user. So you can imagine if they had to fill out, pick a county. Well, we have 64 counties in Colorado. And so if you didn't want them to have to scroll down a huge long list of 64 counties, you can make the list compact so that, they just toggle a caret, for instance. Multi-line means, that'll be across different lines. You can experiment with some of these things to see how they look. Liker is like it's kind of like a high, medium, low kind of index, and on and on. Default is basically if you want it to default to something. Okay, so if they don't, in my option, if they don't pick one of these trees, it's going to default to Siberian elm. There's a bunch of other stuff. If you want to do auto-populate a calculation, that's how you would do that here. Relevant is if you want it to default or have the answer fill in, for instance, based on the response to another answer. So, do you live in Colorado? Yes. Okay, and then if they select yes, then the relevant answer would be, okay, what county do you live in? So something like that. A lot of these other ones are kind of just other options I haven't really used that much, but you can. Field length is important. This kind of tells you how many characters the answer is limited to. And so if you don't put a limit on your field, then it's going to default to 255 characters, which is really huge. And it's kind of also makes the table kind of unworkable or unmanageable. So if you have a comment, notes about the site, and then this is going to be text because they're just going to be typing an answer in. Then, it's going to default, like they're going to be able to provide a comment or notes about the site, and they have up to 255 characters to do so. But if I want them to do it in 20 words or less, or 20 characters or less, including spaces and punctuation, then you would just fill out the number there that you want to limit them to. Okay, so all that's done. My choices are done here. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to save this really quick so you can see this. And I'm just going to place it on my desktop for now. I'm going to call it form test. Okay, so that's there on my desktop right here. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and just X out of my Excel document. Now, to open this or to publish, I'm going to, let's see, be on the spot here. Yep. Let's see. File. I'm going to navigate to where it is. I'm going to load it. Okay, and then I'm going to publish it. And did it go? No. Okay, let's try that again. Oh, that's what I need to do. Sorry. Okay, you need to click on new survey, and then you need to navigate to where it is this way. So I goofed. Here's my form. Now I'm going to create it. And I can minimize this, minimize that. Okay, so here's my form. that I provided. There's my questions about my trees, and here's my their ability to provide notes. And so that's kind of it in a nutshell. Once you set up your form, that's what you do. Now, after you have your form published, then the next step that you need to do is you go to the Survey123 Connect. Oops, sorry, we already did that. Go to set up the group on ArcGIS Online. So let me show you that really quick. So this is, I'm going to ArcGIS Online right here. Okay. And I'm going to click on groups. Hopefully you have this option in your ArcGIS Online account. To create a new group, you just click here. And you just have to fill out the asterisks, fields with asterisks. So testing Survey123 forms, and I'm just going to say test. And then you can, this is where you narrow down who you want to have the ability to see this app. And so I'm going to just share it with you in case you want to check it out. But then after we're done with the training, I'm going to take it offline. So it's only going to be up temporarily. But right now I'm going to share it with everyone so that you all can download it onto your phones or your mobile device if you want. You can see what it looks like on your end on the mobile device. Who can join this group? I'm gonna say anyone temporarily. Same thing with group members. So this is how you narrow down the permissions. So I'm gonna create this group. So if you wanted to become part of this group, you could. Okay. So I set up my group, and let's say my group is noxious weed managers in Colorado. Or my groups is all people in the state working on invasive species. So anyone that has an ArcGIS Online account can be part of my group. Okay, so after I do that, then the next thing, I set up my groups. Now I want to set the permissions for who can submit the data on my new form and who can view the data on my new form. And I'm going to do that using Survey123 for ArcGIS. So again, that is this website that you already have open that you're logged into. Now, I should be able to see my form that I just created. I'm going to hit refresh. Hopefully it'll pop up. And I don't see it. Why is that? Okay, let me log out. This is going to fail miserably because I'm demoing live. You don't see it. Okay. Anyway, you do set your permissions here. It should pop up automatically. I'll have to troubleshoot to figure out why it's not pushing. But let's say this is the one that I published. So then I just click on it to set the permissions. Okay, now do not hit delete here. That would be disastrous. You'll still have it with the Excel form, so you could start over. But notice in here, like I said before, you can design right from here. I don't want to design, but this kind of is nice. You can customize pictures and backgrounds or whatever. But more importantly, what we want to go to is collaborate. So again, this is how I set the permissions for who can submit data and who can view the data. So right now I'm on the submitter tab, which is over here on the left. And I'm going to just scroll down a little bit so you can kind of see. So this part right here tells you when you want to share the mobile app with someone, how do you want them to be able to view the mobile app? If you choose this top option, that means they have to have internet connectivity. And that's not very useful if you're in the field. And so I always choose this middle one, which basically allows the person to open up the survey either on their phone using the cell tower or wireless connectivity, or in a web browser if they have internet connectivity. So that's kind of the best one. And so they would either do it, it'll prompt them to, or ask them if they want to view it within the Survey123 app or on the web. And I always encourage everyone to use the Survey123 app. I think it's more secure than using the web browser, but that is an option. And if you really want to force it, you could make them always open it in the Survey123 app only. So I do like to give people the choice. And then this is the link that you share with the person that you want to have access to your app, if you make it open to the public and if you want to give that out to whoever. Now, in my case, I have made this app open to the public, and so I would click this option here. But if this was a survey that I wanted only people within my agency to access, then the steps that I did earlier, which made the group open to everyone, I would just put those people in the group that I want to have access. And then I would pick down here just people in the group that I have set up. So let's see if my group, yep, here's my group right here that I made. So I'm going to uncheck this one because I only want to share this with people that are in this group. And so that's how I would narrow down that access. And so I'm going to want to hit save. And if you want to check this out, I'll put this in the invite here. So you can click on that link if you want to check it out. You saw what the form looks like, nothing fancy, but just in case. Okay, now I'm going to go back to this. Okay, so that's who can submit data. And I better do that because you guys aren't in my group yet. So now I have it set up so that anyone with the link and anyone that's in my group can access the data. So now who can view my data? Well, I don't want everyone to view my data. I want to have that locked down just to me. So I'm going to make sure that this is what's selected, or that I share it only with certain people in my organization, for instance, that are in this tight group right here. So that's a way to kind of lock down who can have access to view the data. So you're definitely going to want to go through these steps. Again, you use Survey123 ArcGIS for that step. Hit save. And then, of course, if you need the link again, you can just click up here and I'll give you this. And of course, you can use a QR code as well if you want. Okay, so that's the middle step. Actually, that's the last step, and then you can go ahead and test it or deploy it. And so basically now, if you had a Survey123 app already on your device, you can't see what I'm doing now because I don't have a way to share my phone with you. But if you do happen to go to the calendar invite and grab the link, you should be able to open up Survey123, log into your account, and then download the survey from there. And you could even fill it out if you wanted. And depending on what kind of device you have, the way to download the survey on the cell phone usually is in the top right-hand corner. There'll be a little round link for your profile, and then you can go to download and you can do it from there. Now, of course, you can't, actually, I was wrong. You can't actually get the app that I originally built. You can only get this report biological control releases. It's still kind of a test app. So I was wrong that you can get the other one, but in essence, that's how you work with Survey123, how you set up a survey really quickly. Now, to view the data, you go back to ArcGIS Online, you click Content, and I know I'm going through this really fast. I'm going to share this video with you guys so you can refer to it later. My app should show up over here under Content. And then click here on Content. My app should show up over here. Now, here it is right here. So let me see where, here it is, this one right here. Okay, and yep, I can see. So here's my form right here. Okay, and I can see this is who I'm sharing it with. You just hover, I'm sharing it with everyone. I'm also sharing it with just program managers, and I'm sharing it with my group that I made, which is Test Survey123 forms. And no need to click on this. If I click on this, it's just going to take me right back to the, the content here. So I don't need to do that. But you'll notice there's a bunch of other things here, and these are the data. This is the data and the layers. And I think this one right here, featured layer, is the actual data. There's probably no data in there, but if you click on that, let me just do that one more time so you can see. If you click on that right here, then it'll give you an option for how to access the data. So you can open it up in our map view, and I would recommend that you do that. But if you need to export the data right off and send it to someone that doesn't have an ArcGIS Online account, you can do that here. But to open the map data, there's not going to be any data in here. This is, give you a map. Here's the data right here. You can see the table by clicking on the table. If there was any information, it would be right here that was collected. You can also change the symbology if you want by clicking here, and on and on and on. Okay. So real quick, before I go into the other details, do you guys have any questions about any of that? I know I went through that really fast. Okay, that is just to set up a Survey123, okay, a mobile app. And so if you, for instance, have an app that someone else has already built, you would just go through those same steps to edit it or whatever. You don't need to do that right now, but let me show you the apps that I do have that are specific to noxious weeds. I'm going to go to Survey123 Connect. I'm going to hit the back arrow. And so here are the forms that I've built for noxious weeds. For instance, there's one for reporting list A species only. Okay, and this is what it looks like on someone's phone or tablet. Okay, so here's an example of how I have the drop-down arrows. You can map multiple species here if you want. I give them an option because I want to control the language for how they report abundance. I give them a calculator if they want to add and subtract to count the number of plants. And this is a Likert, so they can choose one or the other. Same thing here, they can choose one of these options. County, they can choose a county with a drop-down arrow. So this is all can be customized, like I showed you in the form, the Excel form. You don't need to remember all this, but I do want to share a couple things with you. So this is in particular for La Plata County, Castilla County, and Longmont, who are on the phone right now. So I'm going to open this form up, and I'm just going to show you this really quick. So this is that form that I just shared with you, is what it looks like. The details of that form. So again, you need to pay attention to A, B, and C. A is the data type. B is the data column header name. C is what it looks like to the person that's filling out the device on the phone or the tablet. Okay. Now, there's a lot you can customize in here. You're going to want to do that because these ones in particular I have set up to default to certain things. So for instance, let's go down here to let's see, county. Okay, so if you are this is all going to populate in the background, it's hidden. Okay, so if you want to make this just one county, then you need to change the data type and you need to change the list, right, and the default. So you're just going to have to look over here and figure out this is what the default is, this column, and change it to what you think it needs to be. And I can work with you one-on-one to do that, but just know you can have some things auto-populating in the background that the person on the front end that has the form doesn't need to fill out. Okay, let me look at another one really quick. So let's look at pesticide sprayers. Okay, so this is a form that if they are going to, I worked with the pesticide folks at CDA to help design this form. So this is what it looks like when the person pulls up the form on their mobile device. So for instance, if you had a tank mix, you could fill out, this is all the required information that's needed for pesticide spray records. So this is for chemical 1, same thing for chemical 2, and chemical 3, okay? And in addition to all that, there's also the information about the infestation, right? So, you know, how bad is the infestation? So if you want to customize this form, for instance, like applicator's information, if you want this to default so that it always fills out your name as the supervisor, and it always they have a choice, the temporary employees have a choice of who is the applicator. So let's say it's applicator person number 1, person number 2, person number 3. You can make this so that you can it can drop down to just their name, and so they can choose between, you know, their name or their other people's names that you have employed, the other temp employees. So to do that, again, to customize this, you click on Excel and opens up the form. And again, you're going to want to go to the Survey tab. And again, you have data type, the column header, and how it looks to the person who's reading the app. And you're going to want to scroll down to that section. So let's say we're doing the applicator section. So here's survey supervisor's full name. I don't know if you can see that. Supervisor's full name. And so you're going to want to go to the default, and then you would type in your name here if you wanted it to default to you, right? And if you wanted it to default to your agency, you would do that here. Now, if you wanted to have a choice of 2 temporary employees, then you would change this from a fill in the blank text to like a select 1. And then you would have to build your choices over here. You know, give them the choice of, you know, Fred or Martha or whatever their names are. Okay. So let's see, delete that. Let's go to another one. So revisits. So this is if you have an existing infestation that's already reported in EdMaps. It's a very simple form, not very many questions. Again, you can make some of these default to your name, your address always. And then you're gonna need the record ID. So notice the star, the red star means that the person has to fill it out. It's required. So if I want to tweak this, and let's say I want to make this optional, then I would go to the Excel form. It opens up. And again, the first column A, whoops, I'm on the wrong tab, surveys. Column A is the data type. Column B is the column field header name. And column C is the human readable, how it looks on the device. Okay, so if I wanted to make, let's see, where is it? EdMaps record, optional. Okay, so right now you can see it's required. And so then I would just change it to blank, right? And now suddenly it's not required anymore. So you can customize this however you want. There are some questions in the noxious weed forms that you should not customize. And so if you have questions about that, just let me know. But I'll go ahead and share that information with you. And again, I know I went over all of this really quickly. I'm going to post the video online. Of course, you can always call or email me with questions. So for now, that's all I have to share. So if you have a question, feel free to unmute yourself and or to send a chat.
Hey, Laura, this is Jim.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting these together. This is great. My question was, so we can use like the list A, watch list, and the B and C reporting as an alternative to EdMaps, or do you prefer EdMaps, or how are you using these?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the list A, the watch list, the B and C, the pesticide sprayers, and the revisits are all there for you to use for collecting data in the field. And then what you would do is you would take the data and you would go to your ArcGIS Online account, to content, right? And then once you got that data from your feature layer, then you would download that data, export it as a shapefile, and send that shapefile to EdMaps as a bulk upload. So really what these apps are doing for noxious weeds is it's allowing you to collect the exact information that you need in the format that's needed, and then you just push it or download it or do a data dump to someone else. So for instance, there's folks on the call right now that have to push data to USDA, like the CAPS folks. And so they would go through the same thing. They would, after the data is filled out by folks in the field, they would go to content and like here's their survey right here, their CAP survey. This is their form. They don't need to open that up, but they would go to feature layer, and then they would export the data, and they can send it directly to USDA. Now, in the case of both USDA and EdMaps, and maybe other entities like maybe the city of Longmont or the Boulders County or city of Boulder or someplace else where we have infestations where we need to share data across jurisdictional boundaries. If they have an ArcGIS Online account, then what you just do is you go and you work with them. You would call them up, or you could just do it all within ArcGIS Online. You would create a group, right? And then your group would be, hey, I'm going to share data. So this is an example. I'm sharing data on Toadflax with Mesa County. And so this group right here is just with me and Mesa County. And then they can access my data on the fly in real time, the same that I can. And that's because we've called each other and we've agreed to do that. EdMaps is I think, going to be setting up this capability. So it's not quite there within ArcGIS Online yet. But that would be one way. And again, if you don't have a group or they're not online, then the way to do that is to download the data here under content and then export it right here. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So basically, we're actually hosting the data on our server, and then we're either downloading that or sharing it.
That's exactly right. It's hosted in your ArcGIS Online account. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, Laura. This is Cheryl.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hi. Can you show me how to access Japanese beetle?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So right now, your data, well, we don't have a form set up specifically for you yet, but I think we're working on that. I think Neil is working on that. But anyway, so when you're in your ArcGIS Online account, you should be able to go to content and then click over here on caps, right? Or it will say ideally Japanese beetle.
Okay.
And then you would click on feature layer. And at that point, because we don't have any data in here yet, you could open it up in the map viewer and create your maps. And you can add a ton of data right here using add or change your base map here. But if you wanted just to download it, like to send it to someone or to get something else, you would just do export right here.
Right.
And then you could do it that way. But one of the reasons we're setting you up is so you can use the map viewer right here and look at your data, and you can also analyze your data. There's a ton you can do right here. If you click on analysis, you have all kinds of options right here on the left that shows you how to analyze the data. So you could find hotspots or outliers, find the nearest, to something else, and on and on. Lots of things.
Yeah. So when the technician is out there and like they're setting up the traps, what do they do?
Oh, okay. So what the technician is going to be doing is, I'll show you an example. So what they're going to do is they're going to see this right here. They're going to open up their device. Oh, it doesn't look like this. I'm not sure why. I think Neil made it private. They're going to open up on their device, and they're going to see the questions. And they're just going to fill out the questions. And then the questions, the answers to the questions, no matter who is doing it, is going to automatically get pushed to your data right here under content. It's going to get pushed to this right here. It's going to be automated.
Okay.
Ben, or do you have a question? I don't think Ben can. Are you on the phone? Hey, Steven, how about you? Do you have a question?
No, Laura, I don't. Like you say, it was a little fast, but I think just a matter of getting in there and messing around, be able to learn it.
Yeah, it is fast. And what I'm doing is I also, for everyone, I'm gonna kind of do some quick screen captures and fill out this form to kind of just walk you through some basic steps to remind you, like for instance, which of the three survey ESRI things do you use to do what? So I'll kind of like set that up for you and share that with you guys, as well as posting this video. Okay, well, unless anyone else has a question, this is kind of just meant to give you overall. So, for the Costilla County, La Plata County, and the city of Longmont, I'm going to be emailing you zip files. I'll show you what they look like really quick. zip files, and it's just going to be of the forms that I just sent, and it'll just be the Excel spreadsheet itself. Okay. And so then when you get those forms, you're going to want to just save them somewhere on your computer where you remember. And then you're going to go into Survey123 Connect, and you're going to add them right here by clicking on New, clicking on File, and navigating to where they are. And then they should appear. You'll do those one at a time. Okay. And as far as Kristen and Cheryl goes, you guys already have your forms set up. You are already in ArcGIS Online. Here's your forms right here. I've already created groups for you. So here's a group for CAPS specifically. So right now, the people that are in this are basically Neil, Kristen, Laura, and me. And there's another one for Japanese surveyors. And right now, because we don't have a form in there yet, right now, it's just Cheryl, myself, and Laura Podorf. So pretty soon, depending on if Neil gets a new form, we'll create that, and that'll allow us to share data with each other as well. And then you can add as many people as you want to that group. The groups are there for you guys to use and manage. So, all right. Okay, well, I think that's it for now. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have questions. The video will probably get posted online. I'm thinking probably at the end of the week, if everything goes well. All
Great.
right.
Laura,
Okay.
we're looking forward to being able to use these forms.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, Laura.
Yep, no problem.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ben, do you have any questions?